Hi guys, welcome to Interview Chits. So if you like my content and if you like my videos, do subscribe, give me a lots of like, and if you want on new topics, do comment below and please share with your friends and whoever is the person in the need for these topics. So we were talking in the last video about singleton. Now we'll talk one of the most important topics which are asked in interview purpose, like how singleton can be broken. First is serialization. When we talk about serialization, first we should know what is serialization. Serialization is a process in which we send data over the networks. Like we cannot send the data in form of objects. We convert into bytes or string. This conversion of then sending to over the network to DB or some other place is called serialization. So in this process, at the end we send one an object in form of streams. When we deserialize, when we try to take back the object from through the deserialization process at the other end, we generally create a copy of that object. Since we have a copy and the original object, and if we try to take the hash code of two objects, that two objects will be different. Hence, through serialization and deserialization, the singleton is broken. We will see how we can fix it in the next slides. Then we talk about reflection. Okay, as we know, reflection is an API which provides us many features by which we can even access your private constructor and your singleton design pattern will get broken. Then again, we know about multi-threading, how these basically break. Different threads will create different object, hence your singleton design pattern will break. Then we talk about cloning. So what does happen in cloning? If you're able to clone your object, then again two objects are created for a single class, and hence again singleton design pattern will break. Now let's go in each topic a little bit details with details. Okay. Now next is how can we fix in serialization? Basically, we can use a function called read resolve. Okay, so basically in this we call our function which will return the object, and once we have done this, we can easily our singleton will be now will not be broken. Now, interviewer here can ask like where do we get this function from? Basically, you will look up in the Google and find it, and please you should at least know where you find this function, because if you even if you answer this, sometimes interviewer ask like where does it comes from. All right. Then we can talk about cloning. See, in cloning, there are two ways. Like other way we will discussing later, but let's discuss what is this. So there's a clone method. Clone method will be is always called whenever you do this, right? So you can override your own implementation and throw an exception here, like clone not supported exception. So it will not be creating another object. Again, it will be fixing. Then is your reflection. So how, let us see first how you can see the in the code, like how we are basically creating using reflection. So how can we prevent this? We can, one way is like we can in constructor we can throw an exception like cloning, but that is usually not preferred way. Like this is a solution but not a standard solution. So whatever the problems we are facing, like thread, reflection, and cloning serialization. These solutions are not standard. They cannot be used industrial wise in your working. Then you doesn't get convinced with these answers. So what you should do is get two answers to this question. That is double lock singleton and ilum singleton. First, we'll talk about what is double lock singleton. Then we'll talk about enum singleton. Why, of all the solution, this solution is preferred? That is your enum singleton. I'll give you some a more little bit interesting questions which can come over these two topics. Now let's talk about double lock mechanism. What is double lock? Double lock says instead of creating a synchronization here, because if we write a synchronization here, whole of the code will be, this will be very expensive. You are basically blocking a whole of the code which is not required here. Our requirement is this part, this small part, right? So we'll apply a synchronized block. But now some people will ask, then why we are making it volatile? Now what happens when a memory so we need to make it volatile because this resource is being now shared by various threads. So they need to have a common copy. Thus, we need volatile. Now, what are the good things about? So it's pros is it's lazy initialization. Obviously, you call it when you need it. Sometimes you never use that, though. Then again, it's a memory saving. Thread safety, but there are certain situations where this can fail. For example, if I make a class singleton like this, and it and give a scope at the rate bean scope is equal to prototype, what will happen there? It will create either a singleton or prototype class. Since we're giving a scope prototype, it will create a prototype class. Again, singleton is breaking in this double lock mechanism also. Thus, we need to have an implementation which will always give singleton, even if we are defining yes bean scope above here like this. So what we can do is we can use enum singleton. Let's see how it works. Okay, let me increase the size of the text so that you also guys can read with me. Enums are implicitly singleton because each enum value is instantiated only once during the execution of program. See, you can create an instance, you can create a method here if you want. So basically, whenever you are calling an instance, you're getting one instance, and through that you can call any methods. So even you do not have any problem with scopes, like defining the scopes and all. You get rid from these issues. This is a very important question. It's generally asked. It's a very depth question. So, next we'll talk about another topic is immutability versus singleton. So some people get confused. Will try to confuse on these two topics. Immutability is about state, the value, and singleton is about memory allocation. So basically, when you want like one value should be maintained all together at a place, then we'll say we are using immutability. When we talk about that we want one initialization, then we'll talk about singleton. So that is the difference. We will also read that immutability is a design principle in which an object state can not be changed after it is created. Once an object is initialized, its internal data or properties remain constant throughout its lifetime. See, state means value. Singleton is a creational design pattern that ensures a class have only one instance and provides a global point of access to that instance. One instance means one memory allocation. Now, how can we be combining some where there's certain situations where we want only one particular configuration used to be everywhere. Instead of creating different memory allocation, we create one using singleton, and using immutability, we maintain the state. And nobody can change this. For example, you might have a configuration object to help various settings for your application by making this object immutable. You ensure that its configuration value cannot be modified after initialization. By using a singleton, you guarantee that all parts of your application access the same configuration object and avoid creating multiple instances with different settings. All right, guys. So we are done with this singleton series. So whenever an interviewer asks, "How can you prevent breaking a singleton?" you should always talk about. So he means that you should write a enum singleton. You have seen various implementation, but the most used, the final one answer should be your enum singleton. Thank you, guys. If you like my video, do subscribe, like, give me comments. What do you feel about my content, and what contents you can are expecting the topic for interviews. Thank you. Bye bye. Love you all.